Greetings, infinite blessings, and welcome to another moment of now and another episode of Midday Mindfulness. To stay mindful in this ever-changing and evolving world, to stay mindful of what is taking place around us, as opposed to having a mind that is full of information so that we cannot see the wood through the trees, as it were. Today, actually, we're going to be discussing sex, sexual energy, everything being energy, vibrating at different frequencies, sexual energy with the divine masculine and feminine qualities. I've actually got the embodiment of the divine feminine joining us. Heather is a sexual empowerment coach. She allows for women to reconnect back to the truth of who they are and to express and flow that beautiful divine feminine energy through them. As us men have it within ourselves as well. It is the feminine, which is the creative and joyful and loving energy, and it is the masculine, which creates the space and structure for that beautiful feminine to flow within. Today is going to be a very, very special and exciting episode. So give me a moment and I will introduce Heather. Welcome back and welcome Heather Irene. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. An honor and a pleasure, and I have so much been looking forward to today, discussing that beautiful feminine quality that is embodied within us all. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm just as equally excited.
I know we've just been chatting before for a moment, and it's going to be that beautiful freedom of expression that we all have the capability to experience, that is sometimes restricted in the day-to-day activities we experience, but it's bringing that truth to the surface and expressing ourselves freely that for me is the divine feminine embodied. So introduce yourself, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what it is you do, and touch on the Feminine Freedom Mastery website that you have created, as well as the course that you are now releasing.
Sure. So I'm Heather Irene, and I'm a radiant living and body love coach. I'm helping women really embody their language and their energy, and taking responsibility for nurturing their energy, accepting their bodies and worshiping their holy temples, and really celebrating and embracing their unique beauty, their voices, and dropping the scarcity and the struggle. So a lot of that is just bringing in the last 5,000 years of wounding for us.
Yes.
Becoming crystal clear and very aware of the patterns that we run, and the cycles and the thoughts and the behaviors that we've embodied and brought through our greatest grandmothers all the way to my daughter. And then releasing that, like I work with the Akashic Records and with EFT, so that's the tapping method, as well as with affirmations and invocations to release that and re-realize our power. So
reconnect to your sovereign truth and beauty that you are. Each and every one of us is. And as you started speaking, I did instantly have that imagery of the repression of the feminine quality within society throughout history. And I didn't want to bring it up or start on a negative foot, but it is the way that society has been doctorized through the masculine control and quite clearly the masculine civilization that we live in at the moment. And it's reconnecting back to that feminine within us all that is going to liberate us. It's the beautiful creative potential that we have. And for myself, being masculine and being very, very masculine driven in the past, everything was about success and creating, but creating from not a heart-centered place, but a mind-centered place. And to me, masculine is very straight-lined, very structured. But if you become too masculine, as well as being a woman becoming too masculine, we can separate from our creative joy and the love that we are. And yeah, it's beautiful to have you doing this amazing work to help liberate not just the females of the world, but in truth, humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. It is. It's about balance. And when we relax that hyper masculinity, hyper patriarch, and I'm not looking to take over the world. I want us as women to rise so that we can go hand in hand with our kings and bring them with us, with that empowered language, with that love and that behavior, and just like absolutely beautiful balance between the two of us, so yeah, that's definitely huge in my heart.
And as we were discussing before we started the show, the yin and the yang behind me being the masculine and the feminine, and within the light there is always dark, and the dark there is always light. And just as a reminder to everybody listening at the moment, with the current global situation taking place and the feeling that we are in war, battle with the element of light and dark fighting one another. And you could liken it to the darkness, the masculine repression, the overlords, as it were, being the masculine, being the male, being the dark, and the feminine being the light, which is bringing us into the world of true equality, the world of tomorrow that we are creating today. And I would like to take this moment just to remind each and every one of you that there is no battle. There is no fight. The light and the dark unite as one. They are two sides to the same self, the same whole. It is the beautiful feminine in her white flowing wedding dress and the masculine in his dark suit as they are embraced in their first dance, their eternal dance together, embraced in love. Anytime there is separation, anytime there is conflict within yourself as well as within society, it creates separation, it creates conflict. Coming back to unity, back to the center, back to love. For myself, anyway, is the true way, as it is always love. Love is always the answer in my experience. And that is the foundation to my teachings, as I'm very much aware that it is yours. It's the love for self, the empowerment in yourself, which then allows you to step into what seems like a dark world outside at times and be that light, be that beacon of inspiration, and help empower other women to do the same thing, so that collectively we can enter into the world of true equality that we are co-creating today.
Yes, creating that deep awareness of all the distorted relationships that we have now between our parents, between our parents' parents, and all the ancestral lineage, etc., too, and becoming crystal clear on how that molds our identities and the choices that we could make when we do find someone whose language speaks to our soul and makes us want to ask questions, makes us want to pull through the old and rip that old snakeskin off to be able to glide smoother and more efficiently throughout the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful image. Yeah. The butterfly emerging from the catalyst and being able to soar to new heights of potential. It is for myself an amazing reminder to go out into nature. And we did yesterday. We went out to the woods and there was row upon row of pine trees in straight lines. And then there was this one mighty pine tree stood alone. And again, I spoke to my children and said about being one of the crowd, one of the many that just settle in because it's easy. The work that we do within ourselves and that we share with others to help to liberate them and create a more true sense of self, to become your greatest version is to become true to who you are, to live in unity with yourself, to live in a vibrational harmony with who you are. And if that means standing outside alone, then I'm going to be stood outside alone. I'm not going to be one of those trees in a straight line, stood up tall. The most beautiful trees in the forest are quite often those ones which are grown slightly crooked and twisted through the elements that have beaten and battered upon them. And every experience that you have had through life, all of those relationships of old, all of those times that somebody has put you down or made you feel less than your true self, they have been catalysts and almost areas to grow along and up, likened to a cane being planted next to a plant. That which sometimes causes pain, a cane can be used to cause great pain, but it can also be used as a direction of focus to take yourself from where you have been to where it is you are going, to reconnect to the truth of who you are. That beautiful divine goddess, God within, the queen and the king of your own queendom and your own kingdom in all ways. And just touching back on a moment, the knowledge that our ancestors clearly embodied, the fact that it was the feminine that was the life bearer, being the portal which birthed life into this realm from the realm above, as well as actually being seen as a sacred element within society. The goddess quite often, or the feminine quite often being a goddess in society, being the spiritual channel, the spiritual leader, and also being able to fertilize land or bring in certain sacred rituals to allow for crops to grow or for the sea to bear more fish when going out fishing. My girlfriend recently told me she's reading a book. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but there is a pussycat word in it as one of what the title is something, but it's pussy something or other. And women used to go and present themselves, flash themselves to the fields or to the sea to grow more crops and to allow the fishermen to go out and to catch a larger catch, because they were clearly known to be the life bearers, the life givers. Why do you feel, without again going down the road of repression too far, why do you feel that has been taken away and hidden from us so much in society?
Well, not going too far down, I feel that when the patriarch felt like we were becoming too powerful and too strong with our rituals, with our language, the connection between us and the full moon and the new moon, that's when we became stripped of our powers. Not even stripped, because they couldn't truly take them away, but it became illegal to be a healer. It became illegal to have those rituals. We had to go into the forest and sneak off in the nighttime and then come home, etc. So that created this feeling of having to be smaller, to be quieter, to be more sneaky, I suppose. So and heck, if you were caught, then you were burnt at the stake.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. And then being referred to as witches and demonic in nature, as opposed to having a connection to basically the truth of everything, that it's just energy and magic is all around us, and that we can embody that magic most purely with love.
For sure. And for those even that might not be even in touch with their magic yet, but might get excited being referred to as a modern day witch or modern day goddess now.
Yes.
That's like, yeah, I'm all right with that title. Let's run with that. Let's go with that. Let's find more witches and more goddesses, more temptresses and seductresses. Like, let's play with this. Let's play with this languaging and these titles.
Yes, and more wizards to support in that journey forwards, because I am very much aware that there's a larger awakening of feminine than masculine. The wounded masculine is deeply ingrained in society, because it's the wounded masculine which is at the top of society, as it were. It's at the top of the pyramid. And it's fear which then dictates everything below that which is above. And because of the fear of them losing what they have, they're going around trying to further oppress us and hinder our capabilities of expression, as it were. And uniting back to that masculine, to that feminine within each of us, I believe, is again where that yin and that yang reunites and is embodied in the single self. And as I was saying, the two visions I've had recently through deep trance-like meditations, as it were, is the fact that I see everything as water, everything being energy vibrating at different frequencies. I'm shown it as water. And I used to believe that upon the river of life, that we're floating down the river towards the final destination, all rivers leading back to the ocean. We can't control the flow of the river. We can go with it, or we can try to go against it. And when we go against it, quite often we become tired and drown. I was shown recently that we are the river, the masculine being the channel and the feminine being the water. The feminine being the free-flowing, joyful, life-giving, creative element, and the masculine being the element which holds structure, direction, and security, safety for the feminine to flow within.
The banks.
Yes. And it's the feminine which is creating the direction in co-creation to the masculine holding direction. So you are directing yourself and holding space for yourself to create your own direction. And the direction that you are traveling is infinite in potential and will eventually lead back to the ocean. And that was a beautiful image that I received recently, and allowed me to reconnect back to that goddess that I am, that we were discussing moments ago, that I am the embodiment of the goddess as much as the God in myself. And there doesn't need to be, but it'd be beneficial to allow for more men to know that it's okay to cry, that you don't have to be some masculine, strong alpha male, that in fact actually showing emotions is beautiful. And it's you, the embodiment of the divine feminine, that allows us to see that truth.
And as we sit in our vulnerability and expand our expression, it allows you and gives you permission to deepen into that, as it deepens me into mine as well. And it's just beautiful back and forth exchange.
Yes.
How safe and sacred is that?
It's the vision. It's the vision that we are co-creating. Truly. Yeah. There's sometimes no words that need to be said. And I know this is a podcast and that you're listening and that you want to hear what we have to say, but moments of silence are quite often when that clarity comes to you from outside you, from within you, and allows you to see things in a new perspective.
Integrating the wisdom of the language.
Beautiful. Heather, please go ahead and actually share with us the information about the sacred, sexy sovereign that you have created with your soul sister.
Yes.
And the workshop that is now coming up. So I believe that anybody watching on video, that you will now be able to see the screen share.
So this is a 6-week group journey held in sacred space, allowing women to really up-level into their queen codes and opening the dialogue into our capacity as women, our birthright to feel pleasure, to be able to speak to our partners, or even be able to explore our own desire of pleasure without shame, without guilt, and without past memories keeping us stuck. So
Memories.
really, yes,
So go into that a little bit more in detail, if you don't mind.
of course. Well, when we are younger and we are exploring our sexuality, we are usually with a partner who's exploring their sexuality too. And with men at a certain age, as with women in a certain age, we're just there, I guess, as younger people, just to experience that pleasure, right? To get off, to get out, don't wreck my hairdo, let's go off to the party, get it done, right? There is
Yeah.
no real loving. There is no incredible knowledge of foreplay or intimacy or vulnerability. Those steps are skipped. So as we get older, for us anyways, as women, we embody that as, okay, we're only here to pleasure our man. We keep our mouths shut, our legs open for you, for whenever we are at your disposal. And as long as our men are satisfied, as we should be as well, right?
The old expression,
So,
empty balls and a full stomach.
for sure. So we want to experience a new way of thinking. We want to embody a sense of, this is an experience, but it doesn't define us. This is what we have felt in the past, but we can change that and make empowering choices, be able to shower ourselves with love and empower our lovers to pleasure us by using our voices.
Yes.
By using sound, by breathing deep,
Yes.
popping out of our heads and moving into our hearts, which then allows us to experience cosmic sex and whole body pleasure and hours upon hours of this incredible intimacy and goosebumpy, toe curling lifestyle that can be, right? So
Yes.
it's 6 weeks. It's divided into 6 different parts. It's explaining what women want, what men want. We've done a few surveys on men and gotten a good look at what they desire as well, which is for us to feel empowered in our bodies and our skins and
Yes.
to use our words and our voice, you know. And so it's a beautiful, gorgeous, sacred space and container with grounded guidance for us to start the conversation and to start feeling comfortable talking about sex, talking about our bodies.
Talking about part of life which is quite often, because of society's viewpoint of old, because of religious viewpoints of old specifically, that if you were to go and talk about sex or, heaven forbid, have any form of connection outside of wedlock that has been passed down through our ancestral lineage in the very elements that we embody in our DNA, in our blood, this information is stored. Information being stored in water, it is stored in our blood, it is stored in our DNA, and we are born without an understanding of why we believe certain things to be a certain way, but just accepting them as they are because it's the way our mothers, our grandmothers, or our fathers and grandfathers told us. So
Oh, my
anybody
mother
that
would die if she knew that I was doing a program like this. And that is the reason why I am doing this, because I have a 10-year-old daughter who desperately needs to feel fierce in her skin so she doesn't find herself in an experience that disempowers her, right? I am fucking breaking the cycle.
Thank you. Yes. Doing the work ourselves to break that cycle, to allow for our children and their children to step forward into a world of freedom and equality, not one that is dictated through very narrow-minded and masculine perceptional viewpoints of old. Ever.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anybody that is interested in any area or element of what has just been discussed, I strongly suggest that you head over to Sacred Sexy Sovereign. All the links will be in the bio below, and sign up. What have you got to lose? You've got nothing to lose other than your inhibitions of old, and everything to gain in the freedom and ability to express yourself freely. And as a masculine, we are just, although we project ourselves to be, yes, I'm the man and I know what I'm doing and what I want, and myself being very aware of energy, I can connect in a sexual embrace and pick up on what is desired, because I embody myself and am my partner. I connect in an energetic way, so I don't need to be told with words specifically, but it's still nice to have that confirmation. And if something isn't right, it's better to be told. Or if something's more pleasurable, it's more beneficial to be told. Men think they know everything quite often, but if you showed them the way, then it would be more pleasurable for both parties in all ways. Time to
Indeed.
share, it's time to let go, it's time to be liberated and free in that sexual expression of self. And I actually had this conversation to bring a alternative perspective to it and go back to, again, the viewpoint of it. I have sons, as you have a daughter, and the understanding, or the way that we would perhaps view our young when they go and they have their experience of that connection, is quite often that a woman is seen to be dirty. A girl is seen
Indeed.
to be dirty, specifically if she has multiple partners or is very free in her expression of self.
Bloody, a whore.
Yes,
Mm.
dirty. A slut is the word which is quite often used. Dirty, filthy. Whereas a man is almost praised. Oh yeah, go on, son. Yeah, pat on the back. Yeah, go on, lad.
Yeah, another one on the belt buckle.
Yeah, another notch on the bed.
Mm.
And that in itself needs to be addressed. And I looked at this myself and realized that when we return to energy, being everything being energy, and that when you look at it in that simplistic way, it's easy to see that as a woman, there is a requirement, if you are going to stay true to yourself energetically, only embodying and being yourself truly and freely, that you are more aware of who you allow into your queendom. If you view yourself as a building, as a queendom or a kingdom, then it is more beneficial as a woman to be very, very selective of who you allow into your queendom, because that energy which you bring in can have within it a virus, as though you are a computer and you plugging in a USB stick, and whoever plugs into you can infiltrate you with their energy, with their lower frequency, with their viruses, as it were.
Absolutely.
Whereas a man, if he is in a bad state of mind, he doesn't really care. He goes out, he gets rid of all that energy into a woman, and he carries on his day. The woman doesn't enter the man's kingdom, so he's safe. So energetically, it is actually true that a woman can become dirty. If she goes around bringing in lots of energies from lots of different men that are all polluted and low in their frequency, she can embody those energies and become dirty.
Mm.
Not physically, but energetically.
For
So
sure.
it's also very useful to be aware of those connections and be perhaps selective of those sacred experiences that we have.
Right. And opening and closing the portal, cleansing, clearing,
Yes,
nurturing, activating, releasing again.
yes. Beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful. So this is your website,
It is.
and here people can book sessions with yourself, again, to go about reconnecting to their truth and
Yeah, for
removing.
sure. I do single and grouped Akashic records readings find
Beautiful.
that that's a real gentle awareness and a beautiful energetic cleanse, and allows people to connect the dots between past feelings and energies and current beliefs, thought patterns, and behaviors.
Nice.
So you can book there. I've got a beautiful 3-month program, Reclaim Your Radiance, and an 8-week program. If nobody, or if I've got people that aren't quite ready for the sex workshop, I do have the Myth of Wonder Woman. That is an 8-week liberation of a modern day goddess, giving us pleasure and permission to work within an energetic field that works for us, getting rid of
Beautiful.
the scarcity and the struggle, and really nurturing our energy with these beautiful, simple yet powerful rituals that allow us to deepen into our expression, accepting
Amazing.
our beauty again, worshiping our holy vessels, and
And again,
feeling empowered.
to anybody listening, to any divine feminine, whether you are fully aware of your divinity or you are just stepping into it, or perhaps even if you are slightly further removed from it, please head over. The links will all be in the bio below. What do you have to lose? Nothing, and everything to gain. You can book a free 30-minute heart-to-heart discovery call and go
Mm,
about reconnecting to the truth of who you are, and allow Heather just to allow you to become your true self. In the work I do, as well as that which you do, there is in truth nothing to ever be healed, as there is nothing that is wrong with us. We are perfect in completion. It is the reconnection to the truth. It is uncovering those gems that are hidden amongst the piles of rubble and dust that has been cast upon us through society of old. And it's time to put down that weight and actually allow ourselves to transcend to new heights and new levels of potential. And it
yes, to
does. It's the
re-realize.
yes, yes. And if you believe that the world is too masculine and too controlled and too repressive, and there is not enough powerful feminines in the world, then it is up to you to do the work required to reconnect to that truth within and to become that embodiment of the divine feminine, so that you can then inspire everybody around you and together create that ripple effect, that domino effect that will travel around the entire globe.
For sure. And even if you're someone who can't even look at yourself in the mirror without feeling um, comparison and disappointment, or your heart feels heavy from these behaviors and thought patterns that you just cannot shake, right? If we start somewhere, if we connect with someone that allows us space to feel heard and seen
Mm-hmm.
and held, that's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
That was where it started for me 10 years ago, when I was still working in a maximum federal prison, full of anxiety, ridden by panic, horrified and terrified of my own shadow. We all have the opportunity to start and take that first step, and being held in that fierce, grounded guidance by someone who's been there as you hold the hand and get shown the path.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. And it's that truthful expression of self which allows people to see that there is no gimmicks. It is always the reason that we are connected, the reason that we not only are doing this together, but there is other things taking place behind the scenes that we are part of together, is because we are truthful in our expression of self. And it isn't easy. Life is heavy at times, especially at the moment. And if you are in an area that feels dark and heavy and limiting, reconnecting to the light within you means that you can then illuminate that entire area and actually then go about being that beacon of light again for others. and helping guide them back home to themselves, back home to their heart. And for myself, the repression of love, being a Scorpio, I'm a Scorpio rising Scorpio, so I'm very sexual in my energy. My sexual energy is my fuel, and it's what allows me to create all the work that I create. It's a creative element of energy. It's the embodiment of the creator, because to be a creator is to create life, which is sex. Sex is life. And again, the feminine is not only the creator, but the houser, the grower, and the birther of that life into this realm. And any men listening to this that think, oh, you're too supportive of the feminine, it's the men that are powerful, without your mother, you would not be here. Yes, the father is also required, but it is the mother that births you, that grows you, and that nourishes you. And it's the mother that you require love from. I saw this morning whilst writing a poem that was flowing through. And it's the father that we feel safe with, and it's the mother that we feel loved with. And it's the beautiful loving element. When we feel safe in love, we can feel safe in a cold room, safe from the elements outside, but it's cold and dark, and it's not really that supportive. If we feel safe in an area of love and warmth and compassion, it allows us to become so much more. And again, it's that beautiful feminine. It's the feminine which is bringing that element back to society. And it is the feminine that will create the foundation through the deliverance of the information that you are embodying and sharing to the children and to the generations to come, to lead us into that world of tomorrow. Truly. It is. It's
and sent right back.
It's a very, very interesting and very magical time to be alive. And without going into again, talking about sex, it can become pornographic in nature because that's the way society has deemed it. Sex is porn. Sex is not porn. Porn is porn, and it's far removed from sex. Porn is a cold element. Porn is not feminine. Porn is masculine.
Completely distorted.
Recently, I've been playing with the idea of, with the knowledge that if I restrict my flow of love to anybody, I restrict the love within myself. To love you is easy because you are a divine reflection of me. If somebody comes up to me and is hostile and starts trying to throw stones at me, to love them is going to be slightly more egoically tricky. My ego is going to want to throw stones back at them initially, until I say that's not going to be beneficial. And it's like, okay, yeah, I remember that. We've learned that one. So let's just step away. But to shine love on them still is to feel and experience love within me still. I was shown this as the sun. If the sun shines, it shines unconditionally and equally upon everybody. If it stops shining on one person because it doesn't like that one person, it's no longer shining. It's no longer being the sun. You're no longer experiencing love if you separate it or disconnect it from somebody. So somebody that's harmed you in the past, that you shine hatred towards, all you're doing is feeling and embodying hatred. Shine love at them because you feel that love. You experience that love. So then comes the step of a sexual connect. And is it, in your perspective, something which is sacred to the point where it is only within a marriage and a unity of a relationship? Or is it something that could be enjoyed as they did in the 60s and 70s, where it was more liberal and more free and expressed with multiple partners? Because as long as each of you holds space and safety and has an understanding of respect for one another, then again, you're experiencing it through many people as opposed to limiting it to one.
Yes, for sure. I mean, whatever feels best and most true for whoever is listening. I'm not married, so I'm going to find people that speak my soul's language.
Yes.
And if they get to enter my womb room, then lucky
Beautiful.
them.
Exactly.
I'm a Leo, so I am a lover and always have been. Um, so being given the gift of making my own rules, I will do what
Beautiful.
feels right and what feels good. And I don't know, if you can make love to my mind, then it's probably a good potential that I'll allow you to make love to my body.
Mind, body, and soul. Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And would you agree that if you go into something that is, for myself, it's positive and negative, knowing that nothing is wrong or right. If it's going to be a positive experience because it's going to be enriching for everybody involved, or if it's going to be negative because it's going to cause somebody heartache or hardship, then it's a choice of which direction to take, depending on which is more positive or negative, which is more uplifting or more hindering. Through my experience, again, I have returning it back to love. When I was only directing my love to one person, I was only able to experience it and feel it in that one person. Now that I love everybody, I can see it in everybody. I'm not at the step yet where I have gone out and been that way inclined in a physical connection, but it's something that has been being brought to surface and people have questioned and asked me about. And I just wanted to have your perspective on it. If it's something which you feel is, again, to be enjoyed and to be shared or to be stepped away from. And I think you've just answered the question that if it is right for you, it's right for you.
Indeed, men or women.
Yeah. Open, polysexual nature of society is the way that we are traveling and heading towards, that there is no separation, that it is about unity and connection and upliftment of one another and not taking. Because again, if there is a wounded masculine and you let him in, he will push and get rid of all that pain and hatred within him, and he will pump it all into you. So be very aware of the connections, but if it's one that is mutually uplifting and supportive, then I say have at it, enjoy yourself. Beautiful.
Experience as much pleasure as possible.
Because at source, we are all one. We are all united and connected, and we're all mingled and mangled and churned and connected and all together in a big, beautiful ball of love. We come
Right.
here in these separate forms to reconnect to that. And I believe that's why people seek a partner and that sexual connection and that unity with another so deeply, because it reminds us of being united as one at source, at home. So that brings in potential experiences without physical, like tantra. You could have a connection, even a loving circle where people get together. There's no physical connection, but there's that beautiful flow of that sexual energy, that loving energy that you build up together and then release back out into the universe to allow for a new creation to be made positively and lovingly and energetically. Amazing. It is. It's a fascinating subject which has been deemed to be evil and satanistic in nature through religion, in my perspective. And to allow for it to be expressed freely again is what is bringing us into this world of tomorrow, today, the love to be shared equally and unconditionally, and knowing that anybody listening, when I do say all the time, love is the answer. And I can say hand on heart that I love each and every one of you equally and unconditionally and eternally, because I am an aspect of you. And for the difference in myself through my very heavy masculine direction of old and a desire to be a certain way, I would have never, ever said to another man, I love you. Brother, I love you. King, my fellow king, my fellow God, as we were saying a little while ago, being a bit potentially causing upset using the word God, referring to myself as a God, but I am a God. as you are gods and goddesses yourselves, kings and queens of your own queendoms and kingdoms. And to all the men, to all the fellow gods, kings, I love you, truly, deeply and unconditionally, as well as I love each and every one of you goddesses, queens, truly, unconditionally and equally, because we are all one and the same. That is my truth. That's it.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. Yes. Heather, is
Yes.
there anything that you would like to share with the listeners before we bring a close to this beautiful and sacred connection that we have shared together, that we have shared with all of the listeners?
I'm just super honored to be able to share this space. And for anybody who wants to connect, find me on Facebook under Heather Irene. I've been there, I've done that. I've had so many of my own old experiences that I will hold you with no judgment, with absolute unconditional love. I love to
Yes.
connect. I love growing my tribe. I love my sisterhood and my brotherhood. I hold them equally as dear. So find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as well. So I would love that.
So here's your Facebook.
That is, yeah.
So I do strongly suggest that you head over, join the beautiful group, rewire your life for radiance, bringing back that beautiful, elegant flow, as opposed to trying to hinder it through the misconceptions that you have been delivered from old. And Instagram.
There we go.
Hmm.
All about body love, speaking that
Yes.
clean language, self-worth, self-love, radical self-expression and acceptance. Oh, there's my 15-year-old son. I'm raising a king as well as a little queen, so
Yes.
take it very seriously.
Nice. And it's beautiful to have that freedom of expression. My mother is a true gift, and the reason that I am sat here doing this is large. Well, it's both our parents and the education and information we receive in completion, which creates the aspect that we are, the avatar selves that we are today. But it's my mother that always held that safe, sacred space for me to feel loved. So shout out to you, Mum. I love you.
Shout out to you, Mom.
It's been an absolute honor to have you on the show, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon in other aspects of work that we are doing together. And I'm gonna after the show, I want to speak to you about something else as well, but we'll do that
Sounds
in a
lovely.
moment.
Thanks for everybody. Thanks to everybody.
Yes, thank you to all the listeners. And again, if there is any topic of conversation you'd like to hear going forwards, then please just let us know. Any area, any elements, because it's the continued evolution and sharing of information between us all that will allow us to see from those alternate perspectives. Remembering being an empath means that you can embody another person's energy, not to feel hindered or lowered by it, but actually to learn and to grow through it. So please reach out. If it is not through the podcast platform, then on any of the socials, make sure you head over and follow and connect to Heather, and follow Kosmic Surfer on all the socials, Kosmic with a K. Love, light, and infinite blessings. And until next week, Heather, thank you once again. Namaste.